No problem. No problem.
Welcome to Bon Jovi Discussions. Today I have my buddy Tim. How you doing, buddy?
Very well, thanks, Jerry. Lovely to be here. How are you going?
Good. I think it has to be said right now. We are on a major time difference here. Over on my end, it's almost 7 a.m. I woke up early just for you. And what time
Thank
is it
you.
there right now?
It's just turning 11 p.m.
And you're in Australia, right?
Yeah, yeah, Melbourne,
Man,
Australia. So
it's
I had to concentrate on the time difference a lot to make sure I had the hours right.
oh, I know. Well, I appreciate you being so accommodating and flexible to kind of make this work for us. And like I said, I woke up early just so I can make this happen, and so I appreciate it. Um,
No, no problem.
Before we get into our fun topic, I always like to ask my guests that come on, how did you become a Bon Jovi fan and when?
Yeah, so you had a guy from the UK on a couple of months ago, probably in my vintage, sort of late 40s, and I'm very similar to him. So back in '86, I think when Living on a Prayer, You Give Love a Bad Name first started hitting the airwaves, that's when I thought, oh, these guys are pretty cool, and I just started following them from then on. Just thought they were fantastic. I was a teenager then, and my parents were a little bit strict on me, and so I didn't get to see the Slippery tour. I also didn't get to see the New Jersey tour, which I
Oh,
was spewing about because of that walk that they had along. Yeah, so I,
oh
I
man.
missed that one. I know, I know. So
But
my first one was the Keep the Faith, the I'll Sleep When I'm Dead tour in '93.
yeah. And before we started this podcast episode, we were talking about your first show in Melbourne and how they
Yeah,
opened up with I Believe. And man, I mean, even though you didn't get to see the Slippery tour or New Jersey tour, one of two things. A, you got to still see the Keep the Faith tour, which is phenomenal. And
yeah, yeah.
B, there's YouTube. Like for a fan like me who didn't become a fan until I was 8 years old in 2000. Thankfully there's
Mm,
YouTube, so I was able to watch tours from '84 to up to these days tour. And obviously I started seeing
yeah,
the Crush tour live. And but yeah, what's your favorite
yeah.
song?
I think my favorite song has to be Blood on Blood.
Ooh,
I really connected with the mateship and the loyalty and the brotherhood. Those sort of lyrics are what, and the riffs as well, of course. But those sort of lyrics really connected with me back in the day, and I just felt that particular song was just about sticking fat, sticking together, regardless of what's going on.
yeah,
So yeah, that'd be my favorite. And it's funny, I felt so thankful seeing them in '93 because after New Jersey, there was that period of will they, won't they break up?
yeah.
When John and Richie both did their solo stuff. So I wasn't sure that I was ever going to get the opportunity to even see them live. So
Yeah.
yeah, so when I saw them that night, that was amazing.
Yeah, I wanted to add too, because you mentioned, you were a teenager. If I could have lived during any time period, and not just for Bon Jovi, but just in general, because of the music and the movies and just the style and just the
Mm.
era. If I could have picked to have lived in any era as a teenager, it would have been the '80s, especially to also
Oh,
witness Bon Jovi become
yeah,
this. I mean, ideally, the way that Taylor Swift is right now, how big she is right now, that was almost the equivalent to what Bon Jovi was in the '80s. Just
yeah,
how
yeah, for
big
sure.
they were, and like they were the biggest band in the world, no doubt. So,
Yeah, yeah,
you
for sure, for sure. And ironically, Taylor Swift is coming to our shores next month.
ooh, you gonna go see her? Did you get tickets?
Do you know what? My daughter is going to see her.
She got lucky to get tickets.
She got very lucky. They sold out like they
Yeah,
were like gold dust. Yeah.
have her go pick out a lottery ticket because that's luck.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like the biggest
yeah.
struggle is
She'll
getting
love it.
tickets. Yeah. But
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
get let's get into our fun topic. We are going to talk about this gem of an album, uh, Radio Free America, which was an album by Richie Sambora and Orianthi. Richie's fourth solo album. And I will say this is I always say this. I think as Richie progresses with his solo work, I think it just gets better and better. For example, I think Radio Free America is his best solo album, then Aftermath, then
Mm.
Undiscovered Soul, then Strange. A lot of people say Stranger is his best. It definitely an incredible album, but I just think as as you know he progresses with the solo work, it just gets better and better and better. And
Yeah,
this is my
yeah,
absolute favorite Richie solo album, and I'm a fan of Orianthi too. And so them two teaming up on this is just phenomenal. If somebody
yeah.
has not heard this album yet, go do it. Like my favorites on here are We Are Magic and I Don't Want to Have to Need You Now. There's
Yeah.
actual outtake. I'm trying to it's so early in the morning. I think I gotta just put it out there how incredible this song is. I was watching Soundstage 2017 last night in kind of preparation for this. And there's a song that I forgot because they didn't release it. Um, but let me see if I can find it. It's called "What Have We Done?" And
Ah,
they
okay.
performed it at the Soundstage in Chicago in 2017. And it's towards the end of the show. It is probably one of the best songs that came out of this whole project, and it's a shame that they didn't put it on the album. It, it
Wow, that's
it's incredible. I
interesting.
mean, it's a very Bon Jovi ballad like, which probably a lot of the songs probably come from Richie here, but
Mm.
it has that real deep ballad like feel, and I loved it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they certainly recorded a lot of songs, and I think that they were collaborating and writing for 2 years or something. It seemed to take forever for them to
Yeah,
come out with it after they first mentioned that they were collaborating. So
yeah.
it felt like forever. But when they did, they brought out a beautiful record.
Yeah, I remember, because we know that Richie and Ori, that obviously they were in a serious relationship with each other for a few years, and I think that relationship started in 14.
Mm,
I think the story goes
yep,
Richie was at an island with Alice Cooper and some other bands, and he saw Ori playing. He was like, "Who's that?" And event,
yep,
long story
yep.
short, they got together. And I always thought they were great together. You could tell how happy she made Richie and stuff. And I think Richie really needed someone at that time too. And I think she was great
Mm,
with them. You know,
yeah,
and obviously,
yeah.
they were performing together. And I still remember tweeting this or putting it on Facebook, like I was like, wouldn't it be incredible if they made an album together? And then a few months later, they started to like, oh yeah, we're writing and we might make an album. And all of a sudden, they announced that they were making an album, and I'm like, I couldn't wait. Like you said, that
Yeah.
2 3 year waiting period of waiting for this to come out, I'm like, come on, because they also put out snippet. They put out I think for Valentine's Day they did was it I Got You Babe or Forever All the Way, one of those songs that they did for like a Valentine's Day release, and then they did a
Yeah, yeah,
EP of
yeah,
Rise, and then kind
yeah. That was
of
cool. Yeah,
yeah. So, uh,
yeah.
what all what excuse me, tongue tied here. What's your overall take on this album?
Look, I thought it was I thought it was really good, and just backtracking a little bit. Can I share a story about how I first saw Orianthi? So
Absolutely.
I didn't know anything about her, and I went to see Richie live in Sydney in 2014. He played at the Enmore Theatre, which is a pretty small. The tour was quite a small. It wasn't stadiums; it was more sort of small venues. So there was maybe 2 or 3 thousand there. It was one of the best concerts I've ever been to in my life. And Orianthi was there. I had no idea who she was, and she was amazing. She was absolutely phenomenal, and her and Richie just riffed, and they just worked really, really well together. and then I saw them a few nights later in Melbourne. They played a charity gig. And how's this for the last 4 songs in their set list? Don't Change by In Excess, where John Farris came in and drummed for
Damn,
that song.
nice. Okay.
Yeah. It's My Life, These Days, and they finished with Purple Rain.
Damn.
Oh,
You can't just say it's my life in these days and move on from that. That's phenomenal. Okay.
yeah,
So for
yeah.
it's my life, did he do the acoustic version or did they do like the full band rock?
No, no, it was all electric. Yeah,
Oh my God.
yeah,
I gotta
yeah,
YouTube
yeah.
that. Man.
Oh, amazing,
And
amazing. And two of the best guitarists going around, just riffing off each other. I mean, I know you play guitar as well.
yeah,
Oh
not
man,
to their level.
no, no,
Yeah.
no.
But
But
you bring a good point though. Um, them two together were just like the one song on the album, We Are Magic. They were truly magic. I mean,
mm,
they just had this chemistry together, musically, not musically, songwriting wise, and just I don't know, they were just
yeah,
on
yeah,
stage, like I was watching this soundstage last night, and I was just thinking how well they came together. Like for example, there when they did Truth at the soundstage,
mm,
they were kind of improvising. Like for me,
yeah,
it seems
yeah,
like they were improvising. Like they didn't rehearse that part or ever do that live, but they just kind of were so into it that they improvised that last two
yeah,
minutes, and they bounced off
yeah,
each other so well, and like we're just in sync, you know.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's really hard to do with two different artists and stuff, especially off the cuff like that. Um,
Yeah, absolutely. So that was my first sort of initiation into Orianthi, and as soon as I saw her, I couldn't download her albums quick enough.
yeah,
And then I heard that they were going to collaborate, and obviously became an item as well. And I thought, oh, how good is this? If
yeah,
the devastation of Richie leaving Bon Jovi could never be matched, but this was as good as it was going to get
yeah.
in my mind. Having these two come together and work on some stuff.
Yeah, I want to mention this too because you brought up a good point with the whole Bon Jovi thing. This old Richie and Ori thing kind of took off after Richie had left the band, and there was a lot
Mm,
of upset fans with that departure, me included. I love Richie. He's my favorite guitar player, one of my
yeah.
favorite songwriters, singers, and so on. I was heartbroken over his departure too, and the way
Yeah.
that happened and everything. And you try to understand as a fan where he's coming from, and there's so much more that you
Mm,
and I don't know what happened behind the scenes. But
mm,
my whole take was, I'm happy that he's happy. If he needed to leave for his own health, for his family, and personal things, I support it. And I
mm.
think when this album came out and you listen to a lot, you read a lot of the lyrics and listen to him and the way that he sings and stuff, you're happy for him because he's in a different place, and like you like there's songs, I'm trying to think of it right now, where you can kind of tell he was talking about where he was with the band. I think it's Take Me.
Mm.
And I think, a lot of those lyrics were about where he was with the band, stuff like that.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
this is
I
me.
mean, he was pretty. Yeah, he was pretty. From my point of view, he was pretty consistent on the reasons for leaving the band, and he always talked about the touring was just too demanding, and he wanted to spend more time with his daughter Ava. And you can't knock a guy for those sorts of reasons. Your children only grow up once.
Mhm.
So I was, yeah, similar to you. I was devastated because for me, uh, the name of the band is Bon Jovi, but Richie was just as synonymous with the band as John.
Yeah,
So when he left, it was like, oh man. But yeah, as you said, as long as the guy's happy, and while he was with Ori, and he created they created that album, he seemed to be in a really good space.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I'll always support Richie, even if it's just his solo work now. You know, like I always
Mm,
appreciate what he was with Bon Jovi. Well, he is Bon Jovi's heart and soul. No doubt,
yep,
just like the other
yep,
guys. And you know, but
yep.
you know, if he wants to stick with a solo career, I'm all for it. It's just like I can't wait for his next solo album because um
Oh,
what
how
Norm
long have we waited?
guitars, yeah, what Norm's rare guitars posted about a year or two ago of clips was just blew me away. Um,
Mm.
but we're steering away. Let's talk more about this
Yeah,
show
yeah,
here.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
what's your favorite song on this album?
Look, for me, it's probably uh I really I, I'm a little bit left field on this one. I do like Truth. I really enjoy that track.
Yeah,
But I also enjoy Blues Won't Leave Me Alone,
yeah.
which is probably not that well known. I don't think it was released as a single, but it just really it was one of those really long songs that just had heart and soul, and
Yeah.
yeah, really enjoyed it.
Well, Blues has a music video. It was never released as a single, but I also think it came out after they broke up. The video,
Oh, did it?
yeah,
Ah,
video on YouTube.
okay.
And I don't think Richie, if my memory serves right, I don't think Richie's in it. And I think it was after they broke up. Could be wrong.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And I love the way that Ori sings that whole song too.
Oh, yeah.
That
Yeah,
that's
great. Great.
that's a jam. Um,
Yeah.
I love
How
this.
about you? What's your favorite?
Well, I love this album from beginning to end. It is just not a bad song, not a bad second. It's just an incredible album from
Mm,
start to finish. But if uh if I had to pick, I'd have to pick two. We Are
mhm.
Magic and I Don't Want to Have to Need You Now.
Oh, yep. Yep.
And like the song I Don't Want to Have to Need You Now, you could tell Richie heavily wrote that one because you get a very big Bon Jovi feel to that song.
Yeah. Yeah,
Lyric
that's
wise.
right.
And to be
Yeah.
honest with you, I would have loved to have seen how that song would have played out with Bon Jovi. You know, like if Richie wrote that and brought it to the band and they did it as I think it would have just been incredible. But same token
Mm,
too, I love the way that Richie sings it. You know, especially, you know, I asked myself a question, can I handle Hurt Again? You know, like that whole verse is just phenomenal songwriting and the way that Richie delivers those lines is just oh
yeah.
breathtaking.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. Great songwriter, and I think quite an underrated singer as well in his own right. I
Oh,
I think he holds a tune really, really well.
yeah. Well, you know, you watch him live with Bon Jovi, or even just listen to his solo work. He's got that strong, soulful voice.
Mm,
Like you
he
listen to a lot
does.
of Bon Jovi songs, and you'll hear his background vocals, and it blows me away. It's just
Yeah.
phenomenal. There's
Yeah.
no word for it. You know, like I was listening to Undiscovered Soul yesterday. And
Mm,
that's all I could think about was how phenomenal of a person he is as an artist. Incredible singer, songwriter, guitar player, all rolled into one. And
yeah.
his solo work is just underrated. You know, I
Yeah.
wish more
It is.
people besides Bon Jovi fans would listen to it because it's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting with, with Richie and with RSO, they they haven't had that chart success, have they? So I feel like their music hasn't got to as many people as what it potentially should have.
Yeah.
I don't know the reason why. Maybe there's a perception that Richie can't sort of hold it on his own without the band, but I would disagree with that. But
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't think it's that though. Honest, and it's with a lot of different bands. I think, unless it's the lead singer, no one, even John would kind of struggle. I mean, like, look at Destination Anywhere.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Blaze of Glory was huge in its own right, but Destination Anywhere, which I think was one of my favorite albums, especially,
Yeah.
lyrically from John. But Destination Anywhere wasn't this huge phenomenon. And so what I'm trying to get at is
Mm.
whether it's Bon Jovi or another band, people tend to only want to stick to this band as a chemistry. And they make like look like David Bryan has a solo album. Only Bon
Yeah.
Jovi fans know that it pretty much exists, and it's a gem of an
Yeah.
album. Um,
Great.
like for example, Cheap Trick. Robin Zander put out some solo work. Only Cheap Trick fans
Mm.
would listen to it and stuff.
Mm.
It's very
Yeah.
rare for an artist to come from a band and have a successful solo album. Now obviously
It's a
nowadays,
good point.
like
Yeah.
you have NSYNC's Justin Timberlake or One Direction's Harry Styles or the other guys. That's a different story. But
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, yeah,
No, that's true. That's a good point, actually. It's well, I guess it's comforting to know it's not just specific to Richie.
yeah.
It's
No,
it's
but
with a lot of people.
and it doesn't get the commercial six or
No.
promotion or success that like okay, if Bon Jovi comes out with a new song today, oh, it's going to be on radio, it's going to be everywhere.
Mm.
And there's the record company puts out a lot more money to promote it and stuff, but when it's a solo project like RSO or something, record companies are more tight on how much they want to promote and spend and stuff, and it doesn't
Yeah, that's true.
you don't hear these songs on the radio or anything, and so but to be honest with you, I kind of like it like it is now. Like it feels more ours, instead of like this big,
Yep.
you know, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other interesting thing is when they toured with this album. So I saw them. I saw them play in Melbourne. What year was it? 2018, I think. Um, and and it was really disappointing because when I saw Richie live in Sydney and in Melbourne, I was just up there myself, and I was in Sydney. I saw it with a mate of mine, Craig, and but I didn't take my wife, and
Oh,
so for the next couple of years, I was saying, next time Richie tours, we've got to go see Richie. We've got to go see Richie, and we saw RSO in Melbourne, and oh boy, it wasn't good.
yeah,
It wasn't good. Yeah, it was that they started an hour late. He was a little bit sort of antsy with the crowd. I don't know. He probably wasn't in a good space for whatever reason. But
yeah.
yeah, we walked away, and my wife said, "Oh well, it happens though, doesn't it?"
I know I had a few shows scheduled that I was gonna go to. I think I bought I can't remember what show it was, but I was so excited that I got tickets because tickets were kind of hard to get because you have these two big artists,
Mm,
Richie Sambora, Orianthi on one bill on a show together.
yeah,
And
yeah,
like you said, they were doing theater shows, so it's very limited capacity.
yeah.
And I remember I got lucky and I got tickets. I couldn't tell you the show. I think it was an Ohio show and it got canceled. Same thing with New York. Oh no, Aftermath was New York, I think, and that one got canceled. And so I never got
Mm.
to see Richie and Orianthi live, and I wish I could. I was just
Oh, right.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. So
yeah.
I
They
mean,
they they then they then toured again, but and they were doing some festivals, and they were doing some standalone gigs, but all the standalone gigs got cancelled, and I thought, oh, that's not good.
I know, but
Yeah,
there was another
yeah,
song. There was another song I wanted to talk about on this album that's actually a cover, and I really love how they did it. I Got You, Babe, from Sonny and Cher.
yeah, yeah.
Richie, yeah,
Uh, yeah, go on, sorry.
no, no, you go ahead.
Oh, look, I have to say, I'm not a fan of the song.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, I
please,
know. I just,
on.
as soon as you said that, I thought, oh no, no,
Yeah.
yeah, just yeah, not for me, unfortunately. I just found it a little bit cheesy,
Oh,
but
I
you
love
know.
cheesy. I love this is also coming from a guy that's a sucker for rom-coms. So,
Fair enough.
but yeah, so I love
Yeah,
I love the way that Richie and Ori kind of bounce off each other with singing and um I know it's great.
yeah,
What do you think
yeah,
of Good Times?
yeah, yeah. Good sort of fun track, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a. I think it's a really fun sing along in a car during the summertime with your windows rolled down kind
yeah,
of song, you
yeah,
know?
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Exactly,
yeah,
exactly. And I think one thing that they did well throughout the album was sometimes Richie would be singing on his own. Sometimes it would be Richie and Ori. I just think they had a really good balance throughout the album of knowing who was best suited for the relevant parts of the songs as well.
yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any other points I wanted to make other than how much I love this album. One Night of Peace, that's a really good one too.
Oh,
And
yeah, yeah, I love that.
like
There's two versions of that, I think, wasn't there? Was there
yes,
one with like a gospel kind of?
yes, and I think that was for charity. And I think Richie wrote this song few years before this album even came out. Because I'm looking at the credits now too, just to double check myself. And Ori is not listed on here as a songwriter. So I think Richie wrote this years ago and then kind of
Okay.
if I remember the story correctly, the interview that he did, he said that he rewrote some parts and then brought it to the table and they did it. And I get a very I don't know why. Maybe it's just I'm crazy. I get like a very stranger in this town era vibe from it.
Okay. Well, it may well have been written back then.
I don't know, but it's a
Yeah.
gem of a song, and I know that I think they put the single out as a chair, like as a single. It was a different version. I think like the gospel version that you're talking about, and it was to
Yeah.
raise money for
Yeah.
charity. If I remember.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
something like that.
Yeah.
But
But yeah, I'm a big fan of that one. I thought it was yeah, really nice. Really
yeah.
nice song.
So, was there anything else that you wanted to say about this album? Any other stories? Anything?
Um, not really, other than the fact that it's a shame there was only one.
Yeah,
It
I
doesn't
know.
seem like there's going to be any more, so we will probably just have to um, relive that one over and over again and just enjoy it for what it was.
Yeah, I have one more thing I want to say because I think it's worth saying. I love the photography of this. You know, it kind of like look at the cover for example.
Yeah,
For me, I get like
yeah, it's cool.
50s vibe. Um,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like some of the pictures in here. You know, Ori and then Richie and Ori. Uh,
yeah, yeah.
I like
They
this
love
one.
their hats, don't they? They both love their hats.
Yeah, they sure do. What's in the booklet here? Nice picture of Ori and Richie, and yeah, it's just overall, it's just a fantastic album. When you mentioned you wanted to talk about this, I was like, oh, I have a lot to say about this album. And but yeah,
Yeah,
stay on. I'm gonna end the recording, but I wanted to say thank you again for coming on and taking the time, you know, out of your busy day, and to kind of do this with me.
absolute pleasure, Jerry. Thanks very much.
You're welcome, buddy. Let me end the recording. Okay.